Well, this might be the largest health hazard ever to hit the food industry. We've got numerous health officials, tons of independent studies have warned us of the very serious and documented side effects of aspartame. No big surprise, Monsanto Corporation's name is in the mix. You know, we all know they're the makers of Agent Orange. They're the largest biotech company in the world. They created aspartame using genetically modified bacteria. And now it's manufactured by big pharma giant Pfizer, whose lobbyists and political connections basically got them approved by the FDA. And of course, this was back when they used to be G.D. Searle and Donald Rumsfeld was at the helm.
And so many of the additives, not just aspartame, you learn are these drugs. And it's drug companies making them, and they feed a certain type of toxic waste. The Army developed this in like 65. To E. coli, the first genetically engineered bacteria they changed was E. coli, and it craps out. I hate to get detailed, but it is. You're eating a mutated bacteria's crap. Yeah. It's defecation, and it's highly toxic and highly addictive. I mean, this is amazing, Darrin.
Well, this is what it comes down to. You've got a multi-billion-dollar pharmaceutical company manufacturing artificial sweeteners that's consumed by millions of people. And, you know, make no mistake about it, Big Pharma profits from sickness, not health. So it's easy to see the motivation to push the product. It makes perfect evil sense.
Well, I've seen this piece you put together. I played part of it on the radio, but we've got an addendum we're going to premiere here tonight. But and now I've seen this, and I noticed most of the folks in the Man on the Street, and you put everybody you talk to in there, they know aspartame's bad. They've heard about it. They even know about the rat studies. But they still trust their government and the EPA and the FDA.
Sadly, if it's got the FDA stamp of approval on there, they'll still consume it. You know, they might not, you know, take it every single day. They might be a little apprehensive about it, but that FDA stamp of approval means a lot.
Well, we wonder why the United States has the highest rate of cancer, obesity, diabetes. I mean, I go to restaurants and places, and I got to be honest. I mean, you know, I hate to say this, but it's very sad. The children look like they've been fed toxic waste. I mean, well-to-do families, you name it. These don't look like kids when I was growing up.
Well, another thing I was thinking about, you know, the FDA has studies, obviously, that dismiss the dangers of aspartame, but it's ironic because they also have studies that contradict their own studies. You know, they've got studies that say it's good, and then they've got studies that say it's bad. And, of course, they're trying to suppress those, but they have come out. So those studies are available. In fact, Kurt Nimmo did an article, and he lists the number of aspartame side effects.
But you notice the studies that are pro are Monsanto's own studies. Take the one in, 78 when they couldn't get it approved. A bunch of the monkeys died or were brain damaged, the babies they gave it to. But they just took those out of the study and said, see, it's safe with the other part.
The vast majority of the studies that say it's healthy were conducted by the aspartame industry, no doubt.
It's amazing that, I mean, it should say not aspartame, but genetically engineered bacteria feces. I mean, that's what it is.
That's right.
People look up aspartame manufacturing process. Well, this is not a secret. I mean, it's made in a chemical lab. It's made in a biotech weapons lab. That's what the Pentagon was developing when it happened. They said, oh, this is a great neurotoxin. People love this. It's addictive. It makes you sick. Here's that report by Darrin McBreen.
Sugar-free foods and beverages contain an artificial sweetener that researchers say may cause cancer. The ingredient is aspartame, and it is by far the most dangerous substance on the market that is added to our foods. Aspartame is an artificial sweetener found in thousands of products worldwide, and chances are you are consuming it. It's added to sugar-free gum, juice beverages, tabletop sweeteners like Equal and NutraSweet. It's in cereals, soft drinks, yogurt, breath mints, multivitamins, wine coolers, and even over-the-counter medicines. The toxic long-term effects of aspartame are often dismissed as a hoax by the sweetener industry. However, numerous independent controlled studies using human subjects have concluded that aspartame is deadly. Now, there's a number of studies that claim that aspartame is completely safe to consume, but the vast majority of those studies were conducted by, well, you guessed it, the aspartame industry. In fact, groups like Monsanto, J.D. Searle, and ILSI concluded that aspartame posed no health risk. But that's about as credible as Marlboro, Camel, and Winston, dismissing the link between cigarette smoking and cancer.
Tastes good like a cigarette should.
Have you heard of aspartame?
Yes, I've heard of it before.
Have you heard good things or bad things?
I hear mostly bad things about it.
What kind of bad things?
Just like it's an artificial sweetener and it's bad for your health and you should try to stay away.
I've heard it's an artificial sweetener, and I'm guilty of drinking beverages sweetened with it. However, it degenerates and it does harmful things.
What do you think about aspartame?
I don't like it. It gives me headaches.
They did studies on rats. It supposedly causes cancer.
Even Fox News recently reported in 2005 that artificial sweeteners had been linked to a wide range of cancers after studying involving rats. So these rats actually had tumors the size of golf balls. So does that concern you when you hear stuff like that?
Greatly, yes. And the FDA is supposed to be protecting us from things like cancer, not giving it to us and telling us it's safe.
You cannot go to the grocery store now and buy any type of even regular sugar gum that hasn't had aspartame added to it. In the 1970s, Searle tried to get it approved and they couldn't. It took them 3 separate times because in their own studies with monkeys, large portions of them that were fed it died and contracted cancer. Now we have mainstream news articles, and the EU has done a major study finding lower birth weights, early birth, and yes, miscarriages from women that drink aspartame-laden soft drinks like Coke Zero.
Do you think that aspartame should be on the market today?
No,
Why not?
because it hasn't been demonstrated to be safe.
The FDA looked at the research and in 1975 put aspartame's approval on hold. It set up an independent panel of doctors to study aspartame. In 1980, that public board of inquiry unanimously ruled aspartame should not go on the market. Edith was drinking a cup of low-calorie hot chocolate that night. Aspartame made it sweet. And Johnson says aspartame made her sick.
All of a sudden, I couldn't see. My eyes went out of focus, and it was like my vision became quite blurred.
And you think it's because of aspartame?
I think it's very deliberately because of aspartame, yes.
It was terrifying.
Kate Randall thought she was going crazy.
I started popping in my hands and twitching in my feet, my legs, my knees, my upper legs, and shoulders and arms and everywhere.
Many of these individuals who have been aspartame reactors have tested themselves 5, 10, 20 times. Every time getting the same response, and then they realized that this was a legitimate cause and effect relationship.
What is aspartame? It is the fecal matter of the E. coli bacteria. They took it and genetically engineered it. They can feed it toxic waste, and then it defecates aspartame. And it has so many bad health effects, it's just unspeakable.
How do you think a product like that was managed to be approved by the FDA?
Oh, I think there's loopholes to everything.
I say shut the FDA down, shut down any government agency that's not doing its job.
Would you think that possibly the FDA is corrupt?
I'm going to go ahead and say no. I trust the FDA with my health.
Do you think there's a chance the FDA could be corrupt?
About as big a chance as any other part of our government.
Now, the FDA approval of aspartame was highly contested and subject to multiple congressional hearings and scientific criticism. In fact, aspartame was continuously rejected by the FDA for over 15 years until it was finally approved in 1981. Since that time, the FDA has published a list of 92 symptoms of aspartame poisoning, which includes headaches, vision loss, including blindness, seizures, neurological problems, cardiovascular problems, and death. The FDA even admits adverse reactions to aspartame comprise about 80% of consumer complaints it receives each year. Yet the dangerous substance remains on the market and is consumed by millions of people every single day. I'm Darrin McBreen for InfoWars Nightly News.
And again, we are back with reporter Darrin McBreen. Darrin, I like the fact in there that you show the Flintstones promoting cigarettes and telling everybody it's good for them. You know, kids, this is really going to be healthy for you back in the 50s. And then now, oh, aspartame for kids. This is good again. I mean, they knew 100 years ago cigarettes were tied to cancer. And until recently, it was a conspiracy theory to say so, but their own documents show that they know full well. And it's the same thing with aspartame. I mean, it's admitted that it breaks down into wood alcohol, formaldehyde in the body. Everybody knows bathtub gin causes blindness. I've talked to friends and family and medical doctors. When they tell people to go off of this incrementally, they have serious withdrawal symptoms. I mean, this is a drug. There's a reason they got this approved. This is made at big pharma laboratories.
Well, it's addicting, you know. And at first it starts, you know, not many people will get a headache and say, damn it, I shouldn't have drank that Diet Coke a half hour ago. They don't realize that it was a Diet Coke that gave them a headache. And it's also addicting. How many people do you know that are addicted? They have to have a diet soda every day.
Oh, they carry it around with them like like it's alcohol or something.
You know what I thought was interesting when I did the research for this piece? We were talking about the tobacco industry and the comparison between tobacco and aspartame. What was the vintage commercials? You know, we're talking about the Flintstones ad, but not only did they make smoking look cool, but they almost made it look healthy. You know,
oh, no, there's ads where they say, ask your doctor, having a sore throat, smoke a Camel, or walk a mile, or feeling down. And there it is, Flintstones and all the other gums. Let's go to that side-by-side comparison.
Let's take a Winston break. That's it. Winston is the one filter cigarette that delivers flavor 20 times a pack. Winston's got that filter blend.
The Flintstones has been brought to you by Winston, America's best-selling, best-tasting filter cigarette.
Winston tastes good like a cigarette should.
In a repeated national survey, doctors in all branches of medicine, doctors in all parts of the country were asked, "What cigarette do you smoke, doctor?" Once again, the brand named most was Camel. Yes, according to this repeated nationwide survey, more doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette. Why not change to Camels for the next 30 days and see what a difference it makes in your smoking enjoyment? See how Camels agree with your throat. See how mild and good tasting a cigarette can be.
Last year, over 2 million people got something of a surprise in the mail. Their first taste of NutraSweet, and of all things, a gumball. What's NutraSweet? It's a sweetening ingredient that isn't fattening. A sweetening ingredient that isn't artificial like saccharin. Isn't bad for your teeth. Tastes just like sugar. And sounds just too good to be true.
Banana plants don't make NutraSweet. Neither do cows. But they might as well. If you've had bananas and milk, you've eaten what's in NutraSweet. It's made from things like those found naturally in good things to eat, like 2 building blocks of protein. Nature doesn't make NutraSweet, but NutraSweet couldn't be made without it. NutraSweet brand sweetener. Just look for the swirl.
Devastating information. Darrin is not just a great reporter. He's a great video editor and researcher. Ladies and gentlemen, now, imagine if they would have said in 1965, the Pentagon Bioweapons Division trying to create a bioweapon, developed the first genetically created super clone E. coli bacteria. It was able to eat through different toxic substances fed to it in giant black vats of deadly poison. The excrement of these bacteria is then fed to your children. No, it's like, oh, it's not exactly natural, but it comes from natural things. I mean, you cannot make up the craziness of this. And it's like, doctors are enjoying it. It's so healthy. Oh, and it shows the beautiful woman smoking it. You know, my grandma, who basically ended up dying from lung cancer, she looked like that. She was more beautiful than that woman. And I was there when they cut her lung out, and then she lived another decade of excruciating pain and nerve problems and heart problems. And her face got paralyzed. Oh, but I'm a conspiracy theorist. The cigarettes were good because the majority of doctors say it's the one to go with. And now your doctor says aspartame. Your doctor says fluoride. No, your doctor doesn't. The American Medical Association, a bunch of eugenicists at the top who know what they're doing and who are poisoning you and suppressing real treatments and cures, are the ones saying that. The majority of doctors have now woken up that sodium fluoride's bad and are testifying. That's why they're pulling it out in all these cities. So the feds are coming in financing legislative movements in states to try to forcefully medicate you. And as bad as aspartame is, it ain't got nothing on fluoride. Oh, man, I am so angry. Darrin, I mean, that is incredible. I hope people get this report and get it out to 10 million people. It's up to the viewers out there, though, the PrisonPlanet.tv folks, to get it, upload it to YouTube, get it out to everybody, because that is devastating.
Well, and the message here is not only is aspartame bad, but the FDA as well. They are corrupt. They've been compromised.